Today, go ahead and please introduce yourself, your name, majors, and any minors, and pre-professional tracks, and what school you go to.
All right. Hi, my name is Lauren Soriano. I am a child and family development major at San Diego State University, and I
Mhm.
am minoring in sociology.
What made you choose the major and minor that you have right now?
So I actually went into San Diego State as a sociology minor
Mhm.
because I was interested in the subject and I wasn't completely sure what precise major I wanted to go to into college. However, the second that I went to SDSU's informational meeting for once you're accepted,
Mhm.
I went to a meeting about the child and family development major and I fell in love. So that literally, I think within a month of being on campus, I transferred from the College of Letters and Science to the College of Education. So I always knew I wanted to work with kids, but it was when I heard about the major from the actual people that I changed.
Mhm. And was that transition easy for you? Was it pretty smooth?
Well, it was pretty easy for me because I knew I wanted to work with kids and
Mhm.
sociology was kind of a broad majors.
Yeah.
So I intended that I was going to probably switch to liberal studies or child and family development,
Yeah.
but it was pretty smooth because of the organization or the system that
Mhm.
is under the College of Education. So my major is under the San Diego
Mhm.
State's College of Education, and they're an amazing, amazing program. So it was
Mhm.
super easy. You just walk in, talk to an advisor, get a paper signed, and it's yeah,
Wow.
nothing
Yeah.
difficult at all. Yeah.
Wow. I'm so happy that you were able to find something that's like really suitable to your interests and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to high school and like the college application process, how did you feel about the process personally?
The process was a process. It was very stressful, at times very disheartening. I don't have you know, the fondest memories of the actual
Mhm.
process, but looking back on it, I am very grateful for everything that I did go through. It was a
Yeah.
struggle, but looking back on it, I definitely would, there's a lot of things and my mindset on the college I was going to was very negative when I very much love the program that I'm in and what I'm studying.
Mhm.
A lot of it came from just the community around me and
Yeah.
me being oblivious to the real world and the opportunities that they had. It's very difficult to be realistic when you know you've been raised in the same city for your whole life. So
Yeah.
um, it was a struggle. I would say that I had a very negative mindset because I was very focused on titles of schools and rankings of schools rather
Yeah.
than the programs that which the schools offer.
Mhm.
Um, so the actual process of it was grueling, but don't, I wouldn't have changed what happened or the results that happened. I think I went
Mhm.
to the place that I am meant to be at. I
That's
love my
beautiful.
school, and I really do wish that students have a more, I would say, a more open mindset to the
Mhm.
options that they do get.
Like look past the titles and like
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
people say about places because it's the programs that make your experience what it is.
Yeah. It's all about being resourceful at whatever school you go to.
Mhm.
I think also just I was very oblivious to what actually college was going to be like and
Mhm.
what kind of things I would even be learning.
Mhm.
If I went to one of those schools, like not saying that I wouldn't be able to succeed at the schools that
Yeah.
I had wanted to go to, but I wouldn't be studying what I want to be studying, what I'm studying now. I'm in a program where I'm learning from people who have real world experience
Mhm.
and that they teach from those real world experiences. And I'm working with children as I'm learning about working with children. And it's a
Mhm.
beautiful and amazing thing. And if I had known that before or while I was applying rather than just when I got accepted, I think I would have been a lot more positive about where I got into and more excited about the opportunities I was going to get.
So would you recommend for like students now to take more in consideration like their interests and like the programs available instead of titles or
Yeah, oh, definitely. I definitely, it's hard from the school that we went to. It's very
yeah.
focused on, it's very focused on, which schools are better at, I mean, which
hmm
schools sound better on an application. But I found so much more. I I have friends who go to the schools that I thought I wanted to go to,
yeah.
and they're studying things that if I did the same major, I don't think I would have enjoyed what I was doing there.
hmm
Um, but the school that I go to, San Diego State,
yeah.
offers these amazing resources, and that
hmm
as long as you're resourceful enough and take advantage of all the things that they offer you,
yeah.
you can like easily succeed. And you
hmm
can find a lot of job opportunities right after college. You can find a lot of internships, you can find a lot of volunteer opportunities, and they're all there. The school offers all of that.
hmm
You just have to be resilient to maybe have to put in a little extra if you're not going to be going to a private school. But
yeah.
I definitely think people should be open to what kind of opportunities they have, and also think
Yeah.
about the population of which the school has. I have
Mhm.
a very diverse school,
Yeah.
and I think that also, just like the population itself, opened my mind
Mm,
like in an amazing way of just about diversity and inclusivity and
yeah.
just the different diverse populations. So I definitely think if I could tell people, it'd just be do your research in your schools, look at
Mhm.
what they offer, what kind of things that they offer, what kind of population is there, and
Yeah.
it'll totally change your outlook on the titles of colleges and stuff.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I totally agree. Like diversity in areas of like it really changes their perspectives and like I know you mentioned that like you decided to switch into the child development studies
Mhm.
major like a month in or was it like when you went to like there? But like
Mhm.
how and why did you decide on San Diego State before that? Because you didn't know before,
Right.
right?
Yeah, so I was actually very fortunate. I had my AP English teacher, he required
Mm-hmm.
us to do a research project about a bunch of colleges, and he required us, he's like, you guys can't research more than one UC. Like, he's like, only one UC, and after that, everything else has to be different.
Yeah.
And at Arcadia, the mentality was, UC or bust.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I looked in specifically to schools that had good college of educations because I knew that I wanted to eventually study education or work with
Yeah.
children of some sort. So that's how I knew San Diego State. And I
Mhm.
honestly, when I got accepted early, and I read the email and I was like, okay, cool. Like, I totally dismissed the acceptance.
Uh-huh.
So when I did eventually get all of my acceptances and where I was going, um, there were a few that I was looking into and that I was considering. And San Diego State had an informational meeting, or they had their admin day.
Yeah.
And I went because I have family down in San Diego. So my parents were like, you should go. You have like the perfect reason. You'll have a place to stay.
Yeah.
It seems like the perfect opportunity. So I went to that, and it just opened my eyes. And I was like, wow, this is definitely a place I want to go to. I went
Mhm.
to the 3 other colleges that I also was considering, but
Yeah.
it was when I actually was able to talk to people and learn about the school that I was like, yeah, no, this is the school I want to get into.
Yeah.
But I'm just really grateful that I had that teacher tell me, look into other schools, because I wouldn't have
Mhm.
known if during application time. So yeah, I think do your research before you even apply. Like, apply
Mhm.
to schools that you would actually be interested in going to, and not just because it sounds cool.
Yeah. Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Uh, like, how did you go about doing research? Like, did you just like Google or like did you talk to people beyond or like, yeah.
So when I was applying and before I
Mhm.
had any acceptances, the main research was just people that I knew.
Yeah.
both of my parents went to college here in America, so they have general understandings of a few colleges. So
Mm-hmm.
I had their information. I have some cousins that went to college, so their understandings of which colleges they went to and
Yeah.
which colleges they applied to really helped me, as well as looking online and being like, okay, that college actually sounds pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I did research on that. But once I had all my acceptances, my colleges actually had a lot of emailed resources.
Yeah.
They emailed me a lot of opportunities, and they're like, hey, check out this website for this major. I think you'd be really interested. So I think the college had a really good, they provided information once I got accepted. So the research was kind of there for me, which I'm very grateful for because it definitely influenced me to go to their school.
Yeah. Oh, it's great, like, that you were able to, like, be pushed towards more of, like, a program and that was, like, most suitable for you. Do you have any advice for incoming students in terms of adjusting to a new place, making new friends with different backgrounds? Because I know, like, with some people, it might be a little rough, like, just in the beginning and, like, the
Right,
change of moving from somewhere maybe, like, you lived in, like, basically your whole life and, like, going somewhere else. Yeah.
right. So for me, it was I wouldn't say it was necessarily difficult, but
Mhm.
I was, I think, very fortunate where I kind of knew what kind of people I want to associate myself with and to work with.
Mhm.
Um, and when you get into higher classes in your major, you
Yeah.
tend to find people that have similar motives and similar interests as you. So
Mhm.
I would say, talk to people in your classes. It's like my advice for once you get there and incoming freshmen is be open to working with people and talking and working with other people because it's really interesting to get different perspectives. If
Mhm.
you go to a very diverse school and your teachers require you to work with other people, take the opportunity to learn and to
Yeah.
expand, because it really does make a difference in my outlook in the world and also just my outlook when meeting new people.
Mhm.
um, More advice for incoming freshmen is just like, don't slack off and just think, oh, it's my freshman year, I can't really do anything. I say, like, take full advantage of everything the school offers.
Yeah.
They have so many, like, especially when you live on campus, there's like so many discounts that you get, so many,
Yeah.
like, the food, like, it's there for you. It's so easy,
Mhm.
so convenient. Just take advantage of all the things that they provide you, because
Yeah.
if you do, you're going to be way more savvy and way more resourceful in your future years. So
Mhm.
just take advantage of everything they offer. Be open-minded and be considerate and open to talking to new people.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. Like, I think being open for me was, like, really helpful to just, like, expanding what I knew about the world.
Yeah.
Speaking of classes, like, how are your class sizes, and do you personally prefer a larger or a smaller class environment?
So I am a rising junior. So the past classes that I've taken, like this past semester,
Yeah.
um, have been relatively small. I think probably the largest was 40 people, but even then,
Wow.
that was like an upper division GE.
Mhm.
Um, so once I've gotten into my more major specific classes, they've gotten really small.
Mhm.
Um, but the largest class I've had was definitely my freshman year when I had to take like an introduction to communications class or like an
Mhm.
introduction to film class, which are those just like requirements you have to take.
Yeah.
Those had at least like 150 plus people. Like,
Mhm.
it's not that, those are bad things, but
Yeah.
when you go to a public school with a
Yeah.
large population, you're going to have those big classes. I
Mhm.
personally prefer my smaller classes just because I'm learning stuff that's far more interesting to me. I mean, not
Mhm.
that I didn't like the visual performing arts I took, which was like film analysis. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it because I'm interested in the subject, but I prefer the smaller classes because I like that specific subject.
Mhm.
But the large classes, at least from my experience at San Diego State, they're the professors who do that are very trained in working
Yeah.
with large groups of people. Even though it's a really big class, it feels very personal because the professors are really accessible. So
Hmm.
I don't really I don't hate on the big classes, but I do prefer my smaller classes. So
Yeah, just because they're like higher up and like more specified in the
yeah,
field.
way
Yeah,
more specific. And it's
yeah.
also, that's when I find more people that want to study what I want to study. But I
Hmm.
mean, those big classes are also where I find a more diverse population,
Yeah.
because I'm studying child family development, which is a predominantly female major.
Hmm.
It's like I only meet like I only meet dudes in like sociology, in my sociology minor classes.
Yeah.
So if that's something of interest, yeah,
Something to keep in mind if that's
yeah.
something of interest. Yeah. What was something you got to do in college that you weren't able to do back in high school or your hometown?
Um, Definitely, I think just living by myself was a whole new experience.
Hmm.
That was obviously, it's very different. I have a really big family, so I'm always used to like people coming into my like room and just doing whatever they want. But so learning to live by myself was an interesting process just because I've never done that before.
Hmm.
Um, but I think also working while I'm learning
Yeah.
was a really great opportunity that I think elevated my college experience. So at San Diego State, uh, there are labs we have a preschool on our campus.
Hmm.
And if you're studying child and family development, you do a lot of research or at the preschool also. But I was
Hmm.
able to also get hired at that job. So while
Oh
I'm
wow,
working,
congratulations.
yeah, thank you. So while I was working, I was also studying, how to work with kids and how to
Hmm.
maximize their efficiency in a classroom by making sure the classroom layout is, appropriate for them. I'm learning about
Hmm.
different like teaching methods and theories, and I'm able to apply it. So I think that was definitely like the biggest like it blew my mind. Like I'm not just
Hmm.
learning about these stuff in theory. I'm learning about it and then going to work in 2 hours and I'm applying it in real life.
Wow. That must have felt like really, what's it called? Like the correct word? Like fulfilling to be able
Yeah.
to do those
Oh,
things. Yeah.
definitely. It just felt like everything I was doing was like just connecting like all at once.
Hmm.
And I think
Wow.
that's another great thing about, going to my school and going to a Cal State rather than going to a research institution.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of the schools that I originally wanted to go was to a research institution, and I thought, oh, I'm probably going to end up doing like higher education and working in like education leadership or something like that.
Yeah.
But when I work with kids and I learn specifically about working with kids, I realize I'm like, that's what I like about what I'm learning. It's not the
Hmm.
idea and hypothetical theories of working and helping children. It's actually working with people and working with kids and like teaching
Hmm.
them. So I think that's just a great thing, just being able to really hone in on your skills and like
Yeah.
go all the way in. And the school totally supports like all of that stuff.
Wow. I love that for you.
Thank you.
You talked about adjusting to living by yourself. Like, what was dorm life like for you? Like, did you live in a
Yeah.
single? Did you like, yeah.
So for my freshman year, it was I was in a triple. So there was three of us in one pretty small dorm. I was pretty
Hmm.
fortunate because, we're three small girls, so it wasn't
Yeah.
too bad. And I'm
Hmm.
used to sharing a living space with other people. Um, my floor was co-ed, so I did meet a lot of people, and
Hmm.
my floor was a very social floor. So I got to meet people, and we had like a mutual living space in the middle of our hall. So we got
Hmm.
to, if you studied there, you bump into people. I had
Yeah.
some people who were like in my classes and they like lived 4 doors down. So I would just
Wow.
like, talk with them about that. I did realize though, however, I do enjoy, privacy and
Hmm.
also just trusting the people that I do live with. It did take,
Yeah.
like, I have to trust people
Hmm.
before I let them into my space because it's different when you have your family living with you rather than when
Yeah.
it's like a billion strangers who just like knock on your door and like walk into your room. So
Hmm.
that took some adjusting too, just being like, whoa, I don't know you, why are you in my space?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but the dorm experience, it was great because also San Diego State had really good food options. Their meal plan was like really nice because it wasn't just a like cafeteria. They had
Mhm.
like restaurants that you could actually use your money and spend money to eat there.
Oh, wow.
Um, so yeah, the dorming experience was really good. I had really kind RAs. They were really
Mhm,
helpful and they're really supportive.
mhm,
um and if you need help they'll be there like all the time. So it was a really positive experience. I
mhm.
enjoy My roommates were really nice and they're really sweet people.
Nice.
But then this past year as my sophomore year, so San Diego State has a rule where you technically have to house on campus 2 years in a row, but
Mhm,
I got out of that because I was planning on studying abroad.
mhm,
So I got out of that and then I ended up living in an apartment near my campus.
mhm.
And I just shared that, and because all of my friends are sophomores, so they lived on campus,
Yeah.
I actually lived off campus with some just random people, and it was interesting and it was nice to live with them. They're all great people, but it was a very different experience from the dorm experience. But
Yeah.
I felt definitely more like a real person, like a real adult,
Yeah.
because you're not just like in school or on campus all the time. So that was an
Mhm.
interesting experience too.
Wow. Uh, you talked about study abroad. Did you actually end up being able to do that, or?
So the original program I had in mind was supposed to be a semester long program, but it wasn't through my school.
Oh.
Um, a lot of stuff happened where eventually that program got cut off, or like mistakes happened
Mhm.
along the way that I couldn't, that were completely out of my reach, and
Yeah.
so I had to cancel out and drop out of that program. But it wasn't associated with the school, so it was really difficult.
Mhm.
But I eventually did end up studying abroad during my winter break, this past winter break. So
Oh,
literally right before coronavirus took over everything, I spent 3 months in Nepal uh,
wow.
through a program through my school. So it was an awesome, awesome, awesome experience. I met some amazing, amazing people. They are
Mhm.
the most like, it was a huge diverse group of all
Mhm.
people who wanted to study, working with children or just helping other people, and
Yeah.
to learn about each other and also to learn about a new culture while also
Mhm.
feeling very, it was so adventurous and so much fun that it was just a great experience. San Diego
Yeah.
State, a big reason why I actually went to the school is because they are one of the top rated universities for their study abroad program. And I knew
Mhm.
for a fact I wanted to study abroad eventually in my life.
Yeah.
And the second that I found a program through my school, it was so easy. I just applied. I mean, the application, I had to get approved to get in.
Mhm.
But after that, it was so easy. They take care of you. The school really does help you out and accommodates and really wants you to
Yeah.
find these opportunities. So, yeah, the studying abroad experience was an awesome, awesome experience. And if you go to San Diego State, I think majority of the majors require you to study abroad, like
Oh, wow.
during your time there. Yeah, like the fact that I'm child family development, they're like, you have to study abroad. You would think, only international business or whatever, something like
Yeah.
that. But San Diego State really values the importance of diversity and diversifying your point of view
Mhm.
for their students. So, yeah,
Oh, that's wonderful. Like, diversity really is, and like inclusiveness is so important to like
yeah.
building communities nowadays. And
Oh, definitely.
yeah. What extracurriculars are you participating in? And like,
hmm
yeah.
Well, so for my sophomore year, I mostly just worked,
Mhm.
and that was basically it. My freshman year, I also worked, but so I had two jobs. I worked at the preschool on my campus, and then I also
Mhm.
worked at the library. So my freshman year, I worked at the library as well.
Mhm.
Um, and because it was my first year, I was kind of figuring things out and just
Yeah, of
figuring out
course.
all that stuff. So I didn't join too many extracurricular groups. But by my sophomore year, I was working and I was also I do a volunteer thing, but that's outside of
Mhm.
the school. So I do that. I don't do too much because I do have to balance out work with school.
Yeah, of
And
course.
I, of course, my first priority is school, but also
Mhm.
because I'm living alone, I do have to make sure that I am able to, you know, fund my lifestyle and just
Yeah.
be able to afford to live. So
Yeah.
not too many extracurricular activities. However, I am more interested in doing more of those volunteer opportunities. I
Mhm.
started one this summer, so that was outside of school, but I hope to continue throughout the school year.
Oh, would you like to talk about the opportunity you started this summer?
Sure. I mean, it's called Coach Art. It's a program where you are paired with a child of some sort of either disability or um, so, some sort of mental uh, disability or whatever.
Mhm.
So you work with differently abled students,
Yeah.
and you teach them or tutor them in whatever skill that you have. It's sort of like therapy. I
Mhm.
personally right now I'm teaching someone arts and crafts, so it's more of like an
Oh,
art therapy thing.
wow,
Um,
that's
yeah,
wonderful.
so right now because of Corona and COVID and everything, I teach them over Zoom, and I have to come up with like online curriculum to teach them for an hour. So it's it's really fun, and I really
Mhm.
do hope to continue. They do have a branch in San Diego, so
Oh,
hopefully when I go back, whenever it's safe to go back, I'll be able to continue. But yeah, that's
mm,
my volunteer opportunity that I do besides work.
wow. Oh, good luck with that in the future.
Thank you.
And um, going back to adjusting to college and all of that, what was your biggest struggle coming into college, and do you believe you've overcome it?
Hmm, let's see. Biggest challenge, huh? I guess my biggest challenge would be, making like the whole dream friend group in college, because you see it in TV, you see it in movies, and
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't happen. You don't have like
Mhm.
the dream friend group. I did have a group of friends like my freshman year of college that we did hang out all the time, but
Mhm.
once my sort of housing
Yeah.
mishap debacle thing happened with studying abroad, it
Yeah.
kind of like it just didn't work out.
Mhm.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's totally okay. I have friends at college that I can hit up when I need to study. My study abroad, I met some
Mhm.
amazing girls.
Yeah.
A lot of them graduated because they were seniors when they studied abroad, and I was like the only
Mhm.
sophomore. But I mean, there were some amazing people that I met. I have,
Yeah.
great friends also still from home that I keep in
Mhm.
contact with. Like,
Oh.
I am still very close with my friends back in high school.
Mhm.
Um, so I guess that settling with the idea that you're not going to have the major beautiful friend group that you think you will in college, and just
Mhm.
accepting that fact.
Yeah.
um it's not like I don't have any friends in college,
Yeah,
or
of
I mean,
course. Like,
yeah, but
friends come in all shapes and forms, so, like,
right, exactly.
yeah.
But definitely getting rid of that idea of like, oh, you don't have a friend group in college, you're like crazy. But you know
No.
I'm definitely someone that values individual relationships rather than
Mhm.
having like a big gigantic friend group of like
Yeah.
everyone, all of that mess. But
Mhm.
I guess that would be the biggest challenge. Not too much of a challenge, I guess, but just accepting that fact. I'm
Yeah.
also just very attached to my friends at home. Like, I love my friends at home, and it's kind of like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, that's okay. Like, as long as you've been able to, like, find your own rhythm and groove with things, and,
Yeah,
like, do
yeah,
things that are fulfilling to you in terms of
right.
both work and what you're learning in classes. Like, I love that you're
Absolutely.
able to apply the things that you're interested in and actually, like, apply them in, like, a workplace setting that you, like, in the future after undergrad you
Yeah.
actually will be doing. Like, that's honestly, like, such a dream.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Um, one last question before we wrap things up.
Mhm.
If you would give advice to high school students now, what would it be?
All right. So my advice to high school students who are planning on going to college or applying to college, or even just are at the age of when a lot of people do move to college, my
Mhm.
advice to you is to just breathe and really just think about that there are so many different routes to take in this world. I know so many people who, there's people who go on the JC route and they do totally fine.
Yeah.
they transfer in, and also just open your perspective to different possibilities of what other
Mm-hmm.
people's circumstances are.
Yeah.
um, there's so many people who, when I went to college, they're like, this school was my dream school, and I think about, wow, I was so,
Mm-hmm.
negative about my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just be open to
Yeah.
whatever opportunities you get. Really focus on what's going to be beneficial to you and what will help you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also know if you're more of a quarter system person or a semester system person.
That
Like,
is a very big thing.
okay, everyone needs to know this. High school students, look up if your school is a semester or a quarter system. I am team semester system 100%. It's
Yeah.
so much better. So much better in my opinion. But that's my little fun
Yeah.
tip,
Definitely
but
like
should take serious.
yeah, definitely like based off uh what your work style is more like certain people are more accustomed to like a fast
Right.
order system, but like semesters you're more able to digest the information.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like people like some people can memorize things just like a lot quicker than others and work
Yeah.
fast. Like
Yeah.
it's it just really depends, so like for sure do your
Yeah.
research.
Do that research, because I am definitely, my work style is accommodates more of a semester system.
Mhm.
So if I had gone to a quarter system, it would have been a whole other story. But yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, be more open-minded about different routes and different
Yeah.
opportunities. Know that there's not one perfect route, and that going to one college, isn't the end all be all. It's about what you do at at your university. It's about taking advantage of the resources that they offer you, and just being motivated and tenacious enough to just work hard at where you're at and to do what you can, because I think it's so much more impressive when you're succeeding and doing amazing at a school that might not have the name recognition that you think is super important, but it's
Mhm.
about your character, your personality, and it's about what you do with what you got.
Yeah.
So yeah, be open-minded.
I love that advice. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, Lauren.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.